Hello Year 7, it's Miss Mulcair here again. Today we're going to be looking at how to compare two articles. So just to start you off, I have a do it now activity for you. There are 4 sentences here, and all I'd like you to do is to add an adjective to each one that gives a strong impression of the thing it describes. So please don't just add a colour or a size. So for example, we've got the cat slinked out of the room. You might change it to the evil cat slinked out of the room. And then for an extension, if you want to, you can add a different adjective that gives the opposite impression. So you might change your evil cat to your lovely cat. Okay, so just pause the video now to give yourself a chance to do that and then come back when you are finished. Okay, so today we're going to be learning how to compare two articles. The reason we're doing this is to kind of expand our skills in understanding how writers use language for effect. So we're going to be looking at the 2 articles that you've studied this week already, one about Australia and one about Thailand. They are both going to be on class charts for you, so you might want to go and download them. They'll be in one document there together to make it easier for you to refer to. Okay, so today's word is day tripper. So day tripper means a person who goes on a journey that is completed in one day. So this kind of journey is usually for fun or for pleasure. So you might go on a day trip to Thorpe Park or to London to go shopping and sightseeing. So yeah, sort of like a one-day holiday. So if you could go around the different bubbles and fill in your word of the day diagram for what category it's in. Does it have an opposite word? How does it sound? First sound, number of syllables, are there any rhyming words? And can you write an example sentence? So pause the video on the screen to give yourself a chance to do that and then come back when you're ready. Okay, so looking at how to compare 2 articles today. So if there are any of these words that you're not sure of, please feel free to write them down for you to refer back to for the rest of the lesson. So to compare something, to compare 2 things, is to say what is the same and what is different about 2 or more things. You have disadvantage, which is to explain why something may not be useful or helpful, and an advantage to explain why something is useful or helpful. Okay, so today we're going to look at the differences and similarities. So looking at both the articles we've studied, I want you to create a table of the differences and similarities between the 2 articles. So I've written one example there for you. So a similarity really between the 2 articles is that both writers have experience with animals, but the difference is in Australia, the writer's experience with animals is a positive thing. They talk about seeing kangaroos in the wild, but in Thailand the rescued animals are treated badly, which is a bad thing for the writer. So have another read through both articles. Pause the video so you can get a chance to write down as many differences and similarities as you can think of in the 2 articles, and then come back when you're finished. Okay, quick pause then in this lesson. So I want you to write down at this point how confident you feel about comparing 2 things. So you've looked at a few similarities and a few differences yourself. So how confident do you feel looking for those things yourself? So so maybe you get it, you understand everything, you could talk about what you've learned, you're really confident. Maybe you kind of get it, but you need a little bit more help. Or maybe you don't get it at all and you need a lot of help. So this is useful for us as your teachers, especially since we're not with you in the classroom. It's useful for us to see how you're getting on. So if you could just write this somewhere in your work for us to see when you email it over, that would be great. Okay, so now based on the similarities and differences that you've come up with, we're going to try and scoop out some evidence from the articles to match the similarities and differences. So the difference that I came up with for you as an example was their experience with animals. So one was positive, one was negative. So the evidence that I chose from the Australia article is the power of those small animals is quite amazing to see in the wild. And my evidence from the Thailand article is they were stealing and selling baby turtles to be raised in zoos instead of releasing them in the sea. So maybe take four of your similarities or differences, four altogether, and try and come up with some evidence to kind of back up what you've said. So pause the video now to give yourself a chance to do that. Okay, so now we're going to be trying to make some inferences based on the evidence that we've chosen from the quotes from the article. So as an example, I've chosen one quote which was they were stealing and selling baby turtles to be raised in zoos instead of releasing them in the sea. And what I've said there is that it suggests that people should be careful about the businesses that they support while travelling, because sometimes people are treating animals badly for financial gain. So instead of, helping these baby turtles, they're selling them to make money, which is quite cruel. So we know that the writer doesn't approve of what they're saying, and really what they're saying is if you're travelling, you need to be aware that some people are just out to make money and to take advantage. So that's my inference that I've come up with. So choose maybe... So you've done 4 quotes, so maybe if you could do all 4 quotes and make an inference based on each one, and then come back when you're finished. Okay, so what I want us to do now is that we have the differences and similarities, we have the quote, and we have the inference. So what we're going to do is try and put that all together in one paragraph. So I just want you to choose one row of your table, one similarity, or you can do a difference if you want to, and add in the quote and the inference to make one lovely paragraph about the articles. So my example for you is one of the differences between amazing adventures in Australia await and terrible torturous Thailand is the writer's experience with animals while travelling. We know this because in the article about Australia it says the power of those small animals is quite amazing to see in the wild, and in the article about Thailand it says they were stealing and selling baby turtles to be raised in zoos instead of releasing them in the sea. This shows us that adventures and travelling can be an amazing experience because you get to see animals up close, but people need to be careful that they are not supporting businesses that are treating animals badly. And so where I've highlighted in red, that is the part of the sentence that you will need to use as well to help you build your paragraph. So pause the video so that you've got the sentence starters in front of you to help you do this, and then choose a line of your table to turn into a lovely paragraph about the articles. Okay, and then finally, Year 7. In your opinion, I just want you to write down what you think are the advantages and disadvantages of adventures. So we've read about 2 different adventures this week, one in Australia and one in Thailand. So I want at least one example of a disadvantage of adventures and at least one example of an advantage of going on adventures. So pause the video to give yourself a chance to do that. Okay, and that's all for today, Year 7. So I will be back next week with your next lesson, and I hope you have a lovely weekend.